My blood pressure, Matt, is the highest it's ever been during it. This is. No, stop touching the veins.
I think you're molding a little bit. The Xbox! Which one's the best? Which one's the worst? It's obviously this one. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look at all the different Xboxi and figure out which one goes in F tier and which one goes in X tier.
Were we really doing X tier? Why do you
Silly
immediately go to
ludicrous.
Chaotic Evil? We're trying to do a tier list. You immediately started out at Chaotic Evil. The first Xbox is...
The original Xbox debuted in 2001 for a whopping $299. In today monies, that is
One Ford Focus.
a 2001 Ford Focus, probably.
About the same
But
price.
look, I have a soft spot in my heart for the original Xbox.
Sure.
It just had so many little things about it that were amazing. A lot of games, you could load up your CDs onto the Xbox and then have those tracks just be your soundtrack for the game.
Oh, yes, you're right. Yeah, I forgot
And that was
about
a really cool feature.
For context, if you are not familiar, even though you're watching Xbox tier list, the original Xbox was essentially a moderately powerful gaming PC. And it had fairly powerful specs for its time, certainly far better than something like the PS2 and the Dreamcast. It obviously launched the Xbox brand, and they quickly got a better controller. It really brought online gaming to the forefront. The main issue was there was not an enormous amount of games for the original Xbox. There were some exclusives that we look upon really fondly now, like Halo and Crimson Skies and that kind of stuff. I would lean toward this being A tier.
A tier. I'm fully in agreement with there.
Moving on. What
The Logitech G Cloud.
No. I call shenanigans, skullduggery.
I am
No.
the biggest proponent of cloud gaming that you're gonna find.
You are.
Okay? In fact, we did a video about this a couple weeks ago. I was so for this until they came out with the price tag.
This is basically a Android-powered Nintendo Switch.
It's not like a Steam Deck or an IO Neo where you
No.
can play things locally. You're not going to play AAA games. You can play Android games.
Even then, it's not going to be a super strong experience. It's designed really for cloud gaming. But also, just buy a controller for your phone and a battery bank and save yourself $250. Like, can we just put this in F tier and move on? Because I'm going to get
I
offended.
was so excited to try this guy out, and then
It's
when
so
when they
weak.
actually had the specs, I was offended.
If this thing was $100 or $150,
$100, so
Yeah.
I would tell everyone to buy it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
for $300, hell no.
Hell no. The Xbox One X. This is a $500 Xbox that far surpassed the original VCR model when it came to performance. Have you ever heard of a teraflop, my friend? Because this thing was packed with them.
I want to make like the Xbox One teraflopped.
It didn't,
but
though.
it didn't.
This was at a time, so in the mid, 2010s, where both Sony and Microsoft realized that they were going to have to ride this generation out for a long time. They did the mid-cycle refreshes. So Sony brought out the PS4 Pro, and Microsoft brought out the Xbox One X, both of which were essentially the same consoles, just with a much beefier graphics. So it went from like most games playing at 720p, maybe 900p, to actually being able to legitimately hit 4K on a lot of current gen titles of the time. The problem with the One X was that it came out, 3-4 years after the original Xbox One. It righted the ship because the Xbox One was a disaster when it came out, right? No cap, absolute disaster. And the One X was really them stepping out of it because the One X was clearly more powerful than the PS4 and more powerful than the PS4 Pro. It was a nice upgrade, but I couldn't give this an X tier. I would say the One X is A tier.
A tier, I mean, like, I didn't play it, so I got to concede. The Xbox 360 with the Xenon motherboards.
Now we have to be very specific. There were two versions of the Xbox 360.
This is where I get to call you a nerd.
This is an important distinction. Important distinction. Yes, there were core models and arcade models and elite models, blah, blah, blah. That didn't matter. What mattered was, did you get one of the launch 360s that self-destructed after 15 minutes? Or did you get one of the ones that they replaced under warranty that actually lasted? That's the real distinction. So the launch version of the Xbox 360 came out all the way back in 2005, a full year before the PS3 and the Wii. The problem with the launch version of the Xbox 360 was this little problem called the red ring of death. Now, to give Microsoft some credit, they did take care of this, and pretty much all of these, they extended the warranty. They would replace it with the updated models that did not have the issues. That's the only reason that this escapes F tier, in my opinion. But I think it's a strong D tier, just because while it was a good console, it had such huge issues. I doubt that almost any of these launch 360s have survived until this point. Like, there's almost no way. Like, they all red ringed. There's massive, massive issues. D, locking it in, D.
D.
All right.
You gave it the D. The 360 with an updated motherboard, they added the HDMI port. And it didn't die, so
Yeah.
I give that a B. The 360 was a great generation of games. You could get an HD DVD player for it.
Shout out to HD DVD.
Yeah, HD DVD.
I think this has got to be really high up the tier list because
High up?
very high up. So the thing is, once you get past the red ringy Xboxes, right? This was the console to have in 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. Like until the PS3 caught up at the very end of its life cycle. The 360 had the best performance, or maybe not the best interface, but it had the most features. I honestly think that this 360, it's bordering on X tier for me. This was such a terrific console. I could be persuaded down to A, I think. But dude, this 360 was so good. Once you got past the red rings,
I was gonna put it B.
oh, man, I don't think I could put this in B. I feel like this has got to be an A.
Take off your nostalgia glasses for a second.
It's really blurry now.
Yeah, exactly.
The Xbox One S. Okay. Now, this is a little bit of a trickier one, right? So this was the slim version of the Xbox VCR. I think it had a far nicer design. I still think the One S, 6, 7, 8 years on, looks terrific today.
It looks great.
And it was much less expensive, right? So price was better. I mean, it was the true slim console in every sense of the word. But as we've talked about with the Xbox One X, it didn't have any more power, right? The Xbox One was chronically underpowered the entire generation.
Yeah, it looked better, but like it wasn't really a big upgrade. It was more just a price. It was more like just a price cut.
My only defense really of the One S for being a little bit higher up the tier list than I think we're about to land it is if you ignore the fact that the One X and the PS4 Pro existed. In a normal console life cycle, this would have been a really solid upgrade. I still don't think it deserves to be any higher than maybe like C tier.
C is what I would give it.
But like the One S was a good console, and I think if you look at our tier list, C is like good, and then below C is bad, and above C is really good. All right. I'm afraid what's next? It's been a roller coaster.
I'm afraid what's next should be the title of my book. The Xbox One Sad Edition.
The all digital. Should I tell the story? I don't know if I should tell the story.
Tell the story.
Okay, I'm gonna tell the story.
What's the worst that could happen as we get canceled and sued?
Okay, we have some terrific friends at Microsoft, especially
yeah, the ones
on the
who
Xbox side.
pay your salary.
I'm gonna punch you in the face. They don't punch. Okay, but we have good friends. And so when it came to the Xbox One All Digital Edition, they let us take a look at it early. And I remember they were really excited, and they showed it. And I looked at it, I was like, "So you took the disc drive out?" That's it. Basically, all they did was they took an Xbox One S, removed the Ultra HD Blu-ray drive. It was $50 cheaper, which was a nice sort of thing, but ultimately, the regular Xbox One S was usually on sale anyway. Look, this was, in hindsight, very clearly a test for the Series S in shipping an all-digital console. The problem was, it was really tough to justify because today, when you look at the Series S and the Series X, there's a $200 difference, there's a price difference, a size difference, like a D tier, man.
D tier,
yeah. It's not quite F. It was clear that this is just a prototype for shipping a discless console, and it was not actually anything that was all that serious. And
I mean, there's a reason it's called the Sad Edition. The Xbox 360 Slim. So I hated this design.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Why?
The same reason I don't like the PS5 design. I'm not
just a style.
The modern, like the super modern, like I want it to be an art piece in my living room.
The pros of the Xbox 360 Slim, which came out quite a while after the original 360, let's not forget. This had built-in Wi-Fi. It was down to $300. You had HDMI. Like basically, this was a proper slim console that built in all the things that you kind of expected.
You know what's weighing me down for the entire, like for all of the 360s that we're talking about is Xbox Live. In a time when online play for PlayStation was completely free.
Man, I'm gonna punch you in the face if you finish that sentence.
Paying $60 a year for Xbox Live was a hard sell for a lot of people. When you're going through and saying like, I'm gonna save up all my couch pennies to go get a console, okay?
Yep.
I look at Xbox and I look at PlayStation. And I say, well, I can afford to go get this one, but then can I also afford another $60 a year? No, I can't. So I'm gonna go get the PlayStation. Look how red he's getting. Look, watch. If I poke him, it'll
so mad. Okay. I'm gonna take all of the bullshit you just spewed and tear it down bit by bit. First of all, PSN was horrible. Xbox Live was a million times better. Yeah, you paid for it, but you actually could get into games. Also, everyone had a 360. It was not until the very end of the life cycle that the PS3 caught up with sales. The 360, in my opinion, was the more popular console, especially when you had like Kinect and everything. Do you remember when PSN was down for like a month because it got hacked?
Yeah.
Like, PSN was bad. I'm gonna make a radical decision. A radical decision. Because of your slander, this goes X tier. X tier. X tier.
A at best.
Fine, I'll give this A.
10 points to Matt. The Xbox prototype
What?
from the Bill Gates GDC 2000 keynote.
Look, this is 100% when Microsoft got into building Xboxes, they wanted to make a splashy entrance. And while this clearly was never going to ship before,
Oh, it shipped. It shipped right to the top of the Sony sign in Tokyo. Take that, Sony ponies.
this is X tier. I get it. This is
It's
X tier.
X-tier.
It's literally
Look,
X tier.
X gonna give it to you.
Let's take the mood down for a second.
There's exactly one person in here
My
who
blood
needs to
pressure,
call.
Matt, is the highest it's ever been during this is. No, stop touching the veins.
I think you're malding a little bit.
You're watching it happen in real life right now. We're gonna put this tier list back in order.
Yeah.
With the next Xbox. This thing sucked.
The 360E.
This is my very first E3, 2013. The Xbox One was basically laughed at when they announced that it was $500 with Kinect. But then, because clearly they weren't done with the 360, they released the E. This was basically just the Xbox 360 Slim and a very slightly different kind of chassis.
Uglier.
This is D tier. It just wasn't good. It was just very much just like a cheap 360 that you could just sell at the end of life that they saved a few bucks on.
D tier. The Xbox One launch with the Kinect and the always on required.
The Xbox One with Kinect was actually not bad. I'm gonna just say that straight up. Now, yes, it was an ugly looking VCR. Yes, it did require Kinect. And yes, it was the right call for them to debundle that very shortly.
You're really proving the point that we should put this in an F tier.
2013, I could tell, hey, Xbox, turn on my TV or whatever. I could play some Kinect games. No, it was not the greatest thing in the world. But I think to put this at F tier is a little bit disingenuous. I think this at least belongs in D tier. What? Okay.
All right, I'll give you D tier. I'll
Okay,
give you D
D tier.
tier. The Xbox One with no mandatory Kinect that came out 7 months later. You know what? This is my X tier. I have a story.
Cap.
Because I'm a dumb stoopy head. I bought into the rumors that we were going to be able to install Windows 10. So I bought one of these guys specifically for the purpose of potentially putting Windows on it and editing on it. And then when that never happened, I'm like, what am I going to do with this Xbox One that I don't really care about playing games on? But then this thing became the most powerhouse media center for one simple reason. The HDMI in. If you had like a cable box, you could hook your cable box in. Music on here was great. This was like my media center.
Okay, the fact that you're trying to put this in X tier offends me greatly because it's obviously not X tier, but I feel like this has got to be C tier.
C tier, I'll give
Right?
you. I'll give you C tier. The 360 Elite.
How many more 360s do we have on this list? Okay. So the Elite model of the Xbox 360 came out in 2007. This was the 360 to get. The problem with the Elite, though, was that it wasn't really that different. I don't know where to put this, though, because, like, it was so similar to the regular 360. It was kind of better. It was black, but, like, other than that, it wasn't really that big of a difference.
I mean, it's an upgrade, so I gotta say B.
You think it's B?
Well, that's what we gave the regular one.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like we gotta at least give it a B.
Okay, B it is.
This Xbox Series X.
This is awkward. Is that...
X tier.
What? This is a good console. I think it's hard to judge because it's so early. It's only what, maybe 2 years old at this point. I think it's good.
Yeah,
I don't think it's X tier though. I think it's an A tier.
But what would make it? What would you need for it to be X tier? Because like I know that a lot of people keep saying like, oh, there's no games for Xbox. I don't believe that narrative because I'm struggling to play all the games I want to play on this. With the introduction of Game Pass, Game Pass is not a Series X thing. It's on everything, which is what really makes a lot of those other consoles work. For me, this is like I like this like monolith design.
Yeah.
This checks my boxes. And I feel strong about X tier on this one.
My gut is A tier, mostly because while the Series X is great, it's also not like spectacular. Like it's just a really good Xbox. It doesn't do anything that's really, really outstanding. And also because it's so early.
Those load times.
But like, if you want to go X, I'll give it to you. X. Yeah. Okay. All right.
X gonna give it to you. Next up, we have X Cloud, which is actually just Game Pass Ultimate.
Yeah.
You don't need an Xbox to get the most out of Xbox
Is he about to
gaming.
put it next tier?
I am gonna give it a B.
To me, the latency bothers me too much. Like even under near
And
ideal
those-
situations,
Which is why I'm not giving it a higher grade.
But but I'm saying like even as someone who is very close and near the ideal thing, I still don't think it's good enough. Now, for some games it's fine, and if I am hardlined in, I will say it is an acceptable experience for most things. To me, C tier, man. Like it's fine. I don't know. Maybe you're just okay with the latency, but I feel
like,
it.
The games I play are single-player games. Like, after
Sure.
maybe, like, 15 minutes of playing, you compensate for that latency.
Gamers don't compromise, Matt.
Yes, they do when it comes to... If you can't afford a console, this is a great compromise.
Which is why it's a C tier. I don't think it's B tier. B tier is too high, man. I think it is the definition of okay and C tier.
Fine. Because you gave me X tier, I'll give you C tier. We compromise here.
Compromised.
The Xbox Series fridge.
Why is this on this list?
Because it's not a 360.
There's so many.
We needed things that weren't Xbox 360s to pad out the
We could have
rest.
just put fewer of the 360s on the list,
No,
too.
we gotta have all of them on here. Did you know that if you take out the trays, an Xbox Series X fits perfectly inside of it?
The Series X fridge is neat. It's actually a reasonable price. Not a great fridge. It's not
No.
super useful. I mean, above anything, I have to give Microsoft props because everyone made fun of the Series X for being a fridge.
Yeah.
And they leaned into the joke and made a goddamn fridge. Like, that's cool.
I don't see Sony making PS5 routers. So, like, look, if you're the butt of a joke, stick that butt out and run with it. So we'll just go ahead and put this one.
You're not putting... No. That does not go
X
X tier.
tier.
No. That's D tier.
When's the last time your Xbox Series X kept your drink cold? Next up, we got the Xbox Series S. The Xbox Series S came out swinging, and I think it really surprised a lot of people.
People don't give it the credit and the respect it deserves. While I've noticed Series X's have landed in stores mostly, the Series S has been easily available. $300 is far cheaper than any other next-gen console. While, yes, this does cut back on performance, so it really does target 1080p instead of 4K. Now, the downsides of the Series S is that it comes with a pretty skimpy little 500 gig SSD,
Which fills up pretty
very
fast.
quickly. And of course, there's no disk drive, so you can't purchase physical games. But I would argue that for $300, those are well worth it, especially if you just want to have like Game Pass and play a couple games here and there. I know that this is going to be a very controversial opinion. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this. I think it's a pretty strong A tier.
I agree. I fully agree with you.
It's a great console. Like, I don't think people give it a shot because they think, oh, it's the weaker one. And while yes, it is the weaker one, but it still has the same CPU, the same speed of SSD. Series S is A tier. Yeah, it would be nice to be able to play your back compat games by just throwing the disc in. And yes, it would be nice to have a little bit of a bigger SSD. But $300 is a price point we're never going to see again for another console. Every new version of the Xbox and the PS5 are going to be more and more expensive going forward. They did this one right.
Yeah. We finally got it. The Xbox 360 arcade. I can finally tell my story. Well, I was an assistant manager at Radio Shack. Radio Shack at one point sold consoles for a very short time because not a single person in all of America went to a Radio Shack to buy a console. So we had a mountain of these 360 arcades in the back room.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, we were actually using the boxes to sit down for our breaks. That's how many we had not sold. We were selling these for like 40 something bucks. I kid you not, like $48 clearance just to get them out of the store. And people still weren't coming in and buying them. I think it was like $55 after tax or something like that. Obviously, I did not get an employee discount on this particular one. But like, that's the only reason I had a 360.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, oh wait, the Wi-Fi adapter is more expensive than what I paid for the console.
The arcade, for those who did not own every single Xbox 360, was essentially just a basic version of 360 that did not come with any kind of hard drive. The thing is, the 360 arcade was very much meant for simpler games because you basically needed a memory card. This was very much an old school version of the console.
I feel like this one is D at best.
This is our final list. I don't know how I feel about it. I think I feel okay, right?
I cannot wait for the comments on this one. Let us know what your X tier is. Let us know what your F tier is.
The 360
X gonna give it to you.
The 360
like, subscribe, follow. Check it out the next one. Check out some more videos, and we'll catch you in the next one.
I regret my decisions.